With the Winning Series interviews. I'm excited to be on another training. I know there's other things that you guys could be doing besides being and watching these interviews, fielding phone calls, dealing with transactions, prospecting, or even dealing with your kids. I know how life gets. I'm excited that today we've got a rock star on the show. And just a reminder that this show is, a lot of the products I use, one is Mojo Sells, and the other one is Fearless Agents. So make sure you go check out those products and get involved with that. And I want to introduce to you very quickly Tim Heyl, prospecting superstar, top 30 under 30 back in 2012. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, hey, we're excited. So first off, I just want you to take maybe 60 to 90 seconds and give, and I know that's a very short time, a quick background of where you started and how you got to where you're at today.
Absolutely. So I'm born and raised here in Austin, Texas. I went to Texas A&M. I was in the business school there and got a degree in finance. Went through the whole interview process. Was going to go work at a bank or something, and it just really it wasn't sitting well with me. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. And at the same time, it was very difficult to get job offers at that time in 2009 when we were going through the financial meltdown. So I ended up getting one offer that I didn't like. I didn't want it. I moved back to Austin. I got my real estate license and I joined Keller Williams. It was a big risk for me because in general, my family wanted me to go get, a real job. They, actually put me through college, which was awesome. And they didn't like to see me take a job that didn't pay you any money. So I felt a little bit not backed into a corner, but in a way, like any entrepreneur would feel like, kind of this is it. It's make it or break it time. And, I went to Bold, that seminar that Keller Williams has, almost right away, almost right off the bat. And I learned very quickly, actually take a step back. I read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And that was actually what made me truly want to join Keller Williams, go full force. I understood that there was more to real estate than just being a hot shot selling $1 million homes or something like that. You could actually be a business person and build a business. And that really, really excited me. And so after reading that book and being on fire, I went to Bold and kind of learned how to put the principles of the MREA into action. And Bold was like a boot camp for me that actually got me comfortable doing the activities that needed to be done to actually succeed in this business on a daily basis. And coming out of Bold, I hired a coach. It was kind of the next logical step for me. I think I had $3,000 in my bank account at the time, and a coach cost $1,000 a month. So it was a big risk. I had some listings and I had some faith that things were going to start to pan out, and I had a lot of momentum going, and I signed the contract and I just went forward and moved on it. So did all these things within the first year and being in the business, and it really, really provided a lot of value for my career because I was just a kid, man. I was 21 years old and had no idea, 22, I guess, had no idea what I was doing. So that first year, that coach helped me with scripts and dialogues, handling objections, learning how to close. And then from there, I changed coaches about every year. I moved to a coach that helped me with accountability, another coach that helped me think outside the box. I moved to a coach for a couple of years that helped me actually learn how to recruit and hire the right talent for my organization and how to actually work with that talent. So I've constantly moved coaches from then on. But my first year in the business, I was really, really committed to prospecting. I would come in the office every day. I didn't want to call friends and family and try and solicit business from them because I had a lot of limiting beliefs in my own mind. One of them was that my friends and family have, a ton of real estate agents that they already know. Why would they want another real estate agent calling them? Another one was that, why they all know me as little Timmy who grew up, little mischievous kid. Why are they gonna give me their business or, trust me with something that they know I've only been in for a couple of months? So I had all these limiting beliefs, and I said, screw it. I'm just gonna go out. I'm just gonna go talk to people that have never met me before and have a fresh start. And I liked that because I wasn't very good. I didn't know my scripts or anything at first, so I could make these calls, sound like an idiot, hang up the phone, and at the end of the day, if I saw that person in public, they'd wave hi and wouldn't know it was me, and we'd be good to go. So I really liked that feeling of being on the phone with somebody that you've never talked to before, and you may never talk to them again. And this is just a great opportunity to learn and to practice. And so I started calling expireds and FSBOs. And at first, I didn't have any clients at all. Colton. So I made calls for 8-10 hours a day at the beginning.
So let me stop you. So you were 22 when you got in the business? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I believe I just turned 22.
What year was that?
It was the end of 2009.
So in 2009, you went through Bold, you hired a coach, you were rich because you had $3,000. You know,
Right.
most people don't even have that getting into this. So you're rich as you started this business, right? And so tell us real quick how you mentally accepted that challenge to make that investment. Because, and you probably see this, the number one challenge that I see with a lot of agents is, well, I can't afford it. I don't have the money for a coach, right? Maybe talk about that and why you did that and how you overcame that.
Man, that was just stepping out on some faith in myself, faith in the people that I had around me. You know, because I had just gone through Bold, I had picked up 13 listings during the 8 weeks in Bold. I mean, I just started cranking them out. I was calling expireds day in and day out, and I had a lot of early success and was very fortunate during that time. And so, in my mind, I had calculated all the commissions from 13 listings, and I said, oh, I'm gonna have plenty of money to pay for a coach. You know, I didn't realize that it takes time in real estate to get paid and then to actually turn that into cash that you can keep. And you know, it took me a while to learn the ins and outs of actually being in business for yourself. But I probably made some ignorant assumptions and just took a leap of faith. And honestly, it was the best thing I could have done for myself.
So what I hear you saying is you just believed in yourself when you took that leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
When someone says I can't afford it or I can't do that, they're really saying I just don't believe in myself. Is that right? That's what I hear you saying. So you're prospecting. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think also ignorance is bliss. You know, when you first get into the business, there's a lot that you don't know, and it allows you to believe in yourself even more so than somebody who's been in the business for a long time and has all kinds of limiting beliefs from their past experience. So, you know, for newer agents in the business, I'd say you have an advantage. You have a one-up just on your mindset of being able to come in with no preconceived notions about the industry and just go.
Yeah, I like that. Just go to work because you don't know what you're gonna face. You just have to go and deal with it. Yeah. So you're prospecting. You obviously don't have a ton of stuff going on. So how did your schedule look at first when you just jumped in?
Yeah, so this is really funny, Colton. So I didn't have any money, so I lived with my parents at home. I was in their basement, and I didn't even have really cell phone service down there. So I'm calling expireds for 8-10 hours a day. I'm just calling through these lists, and I'm manually doing it because I couldn't afford a dialer or anything like that. I couldn't even afford to buy data lists, so I would manually go into MLS. I'd wake up at 6 and I'd start going to MLS and I'd export all the active listings in the MLS and I'd save them. There were like 10,000 of them. And then every single morning I'd go in and export all the expireds for that day and I'd match them up with the active listings so I could pull the phone number that had gotten erased when it expired. And I'd match up the phone number, and then I would do the same thing for the for sale by owners. I'd go to every website, fsbo.com, Craigslist, Zillow, Make Me Move. I would manually scour these sites and create my own lists, and that would take a couple hours. And then I would practice my scripts because it took me a long time to feel comfortable. I'd role play with my Bold partners, and I'd spend some time on that. And usually about 8 a.m. I'd get on the phones and make calls, and I call them.
So what time were you making your lists at?
6 a.m.
So you got out of bed obviously early to work 2 or 3 hours before you even started phone calling.
Oh yeah. And it was, I mean, for me, it took me 2-3 hours just to get ready. And I knew that. So eventually I got more efficient. Eventually I started getting ready the day before. I started getting a lot more efficient in my systems, my processes, my habits. But at first, man, I just dove head first. I just dove in. I didn't know what I was doing. I just woke up in the morning. I said, time to get after it. I got to make this thing happen. And I would just get in there. I'd start making my list, practicing my scripts, getting ready to go.
So 8 o'clock you started calling. How long did you call for? What did your day look like from 8 o'clock on?
So 8 to 11, I was calling all new stuff. I was calling the new expireds, the new FSBOs. Fortunately for me, it's 2010 and the market is not doing well. So in Austin, we'd have 50, 60 expireds a day, right? There were a lot of good lists. Today we have 2 or 3. So you got to get really, really creative. But back then we had a ton of expired. So I'd come in and I'm manually calling. So I could go to 11 and just work on the new stuff. And then from 11 to 12, I would work on follow-up. So that looked like a couple of different things. The first thing it would look like is any qualified seller lead that I got from 8 to 11 that I wanted to put in my pipeline for future follow-up. What I would do is I just had them written down on scratch paper because I was hauling during 8 to 11. I wasn't taking time to do anything else. I was writing their notes on scratch paper. So at 11 o'clock, I'd get them all into my CRM, and I'd put all the notes in, and I'd schedule a follow-up call. And then I had a stack of envelopes, stationery, stamps, and business cards and magnets. So I'd slap a business card on a magnet. I'd put it in the envelope. I'd go to the stationery. I'd write the same note every time. Colton, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today about your home. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking with you again in the future, Tim. And that was it. And I put my business card magnet in there, and I'd send it off to every single qualified lead that I identified that I put in my pipeline for future follow-up. So usually my goal was to get 5 a day between 8 and 11.
So what were you using? Sorry to back you up. What were you using for a CRM at that time?
Oh, I was just using Top Producer at the time. It was like, I think it was like $30 a month, and it did what I needed it to do. It allowed me to put in notes and schedule a follow-up call, and that's all I needed. So awesome. Today, you can get a lot of those CRMs for free even, or for a really, really low amount. At the very beginning, today we spend a ton of money on CRMs. We got a big team, and we have robust features, but when you're just getting going, all you need is a place to put a contact, notes, and schedule a follow-up call.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So now it's 12 o'clock. You did your follow-up. What does 12 o'clock on look like when you were
So also from 11 to 12, I'd follow up with any leads that I had told myself that day needed to be followed up with. So that was what allowed me to sleep at night, because at first, before I did that, there were a few months that went by where I had Post-it notes and people that needed to be called back, and I would randomly call them back at different times of the day. I decided that if I committed every day at 11 o'clock to just calling whoever needed to be followed up with, I could sleep at night knowing that there was never anybody going untouched. And that key thing from 11 to 12, I believe, is what allowed me to grow my business at the highest level, because my business was all built on follow-up. And that follow-up day in and day out, never missed a day. Never, ever, ever missed a day. And so if somebody told me, call me in a year, they were guaranteed that they were going to get a call from me in a year, because every single day I come in and I call the people I told myself I was going to call that day. So I never missed it. And I literally listed people a year, 2 years after I originally talked to them. So the follow-up was key. Anyway, 12 o'clock came around. 12 o'clock would come, and from 12 until the end of the day, what I would do at first, I had no clients. So I would literally pull out either old expired lists, old for sale by owner lists that I had created in the past, or if I ran out of those, I would literally, I had a high turnover neighborhood here in town that I had a list for, and I would literally just call those numbers. The problem was I could call 5 expireds and find a qualified lead. It took me five or six times that many numbers when I called a neighborhood. So I didn't actually go to circle prospect a neighborhood until it was kind of the last resort. But I was committed to making 20 to 30 contacts a day. At the beginning it was 20 contacts a day, but I upped it to 30 contacts eventually. And I was committed to hitting that number because I realized that was the number it was taking me to get my 5 qualified leads. I called them a nurture. So I said, to get my 5 nurtures, I've got to hit 30 contacts at the rate I'm going to be able to get them. So at the beginning, I spent the rest of the day. I was so inefficient, Colton. I was so inefficient and I was scared, and I'd call and somebody would answer the phone and I'd hang up real quick because I was embarrassed, that. And then another thing I would do is I would research the heck out of a house before I called it, right? It was a FSBO. I was going to learn everything. So I'd learn, market history, what they were priced at. I'd do a quick market analysis, the whole thing, right? So when I got on the phone, I could kick butt. And then I'd call them there, and it's the wrong number. It's a busy signal, or it's a fax machine, and it's a complete waste of my time. So it took me a while to get an efficient process going. And it took me probably a year and a half before I even got an auto dialer in the mix. So
what was your first auto dialer?
My very first auto dialer that I ever used was RE Phone Burner. I don't even know if that exists anymore. And then I moved over to Mojo Cells, just like you had mentioned earlier. So we're a huge, huge fan of Mojo. Not only does my whole team use it and my expansion teams, but my entire call center at Phone Animal, which we'll talk about, they all use it as well. So
So how many units did you do in that year, that first year?
Yeah, so that year, for basically for the rest of the day, I was on the phones, and eventually I got some clients and got down to the point where it was 5 hours, and then I capped it at 4. I said I'm never going below 4 hours. It's 8 to 11 lead gen, 11 to 12, and then noon on I can work on real estate. I can be a real estate agent in the afternoons, but I got to be a business owner in the mornings and go build the business. So I kept that habit. The first year, 2010, I sold 18 homes. Which, I wasn't rookie of the year. I wasn't, it was nothing special. It was 18 home sales. I had made, it was 135,000 in GCI, but 35,000 went to referral relocation companies, and 50,000 went, or 45,000 went to signs, lock boxes, everything that went into growing my business, my cap, things like that. So I only ended up netting about $55,000. But here's the thing: out of the 18 homes, 9 of them were my friends and family. They were my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, right? Only 9 of those sales came from my actual prospecting efforts. And so I was sitting here thinking that you have to make phone calls for 4 to 8 hours a day, 250 days a year to get 9 sales. So going into the next year, I thought I got to get a lot more efficient if I want to make 20 sales, right? So I was thinking, if I can get a little bit more efficient, work a little bit harder, then I could eventually, make a couple $100,000 maybe 5 years from now. That was kind of my mindset. So I thought I got to get moving. So I worked even harder, got more focused, got more efficient. But what I didn't really realize was all the work I had done in that first year, 5 leads a day, that's 100 leads. That's 100 qualified seller leads a month. That's 1,200 that I got in the first year. So what I didn't realize was, even though I only sold 9 homes from prospecting, I had another 1,191, qualified seller leads that I had put in the pipeline. So year 2, I sold 65 homes, and 55 of them came from all those prospecting efforts. So I went from 9 homes to 55 homes just in 1 year's time without doing any additional work, with basically getting a little bit more efficient, a little bit more focused, but doing the same thing. And then the third year, the third year it went to 135 sales, 100 of which came from those prospecting efforts. So again, not doing any additional hours, just the pipeline maturing and growing and panning out over time. So that third
year, am I acting on your side?
No.
Okay, I'm just supposed to be on my side. So that third year, what did your system and your team look like at that point? Was it just you doing 135 size? Did you start to leverage more at that point? What did it look like?
So my very first year, it was just me and a contract to close company that I outsourced to do my contract to close. I never the first deal I did admin, I thought I was gonna have to quit real estate, so I outsourced that right away. Moving into my second year, I hired a full-time or a part-time assistant that turned into a full-time assistant. And that was my EA, who did everything besides transaction management. So got my list prepared to go, sent out my notes that I told you about, did any marketing or any systems building and systems management, all of that type of stuff. Created my folders for my listing appointments, got me fully ready so that I could focus only on sales. And then that was when we did 65 sales. So 55 of them were listing sales from my prospecting, and 10 of them were buyer sales from referral. So at that point, I did those 10 sales in that second year, those 10 buyer sales, and I said, I'm never going to do a buyer deal again, because I'm running around showing houses, spending more time doing that than doing all the things I could do to build more business. And I realized logically this is a complete waste of my time. And so I had actually in the second year, the reason I only did 10, I probably could have done a lot more. The reason I only did 10 was I said I'm not going to let it get in the way of my lead gen time. So I just basically ignored the sign calls. I stopped answering buyer leads. I just let them stack up. So going into my third year, I went ahead and hired a buyer's agent, and that buyer's agent did 36 buyer deals in 9 months, the first 9 months. So I just handed him all the leads that had been stacking up, and routed the sign call number to him and said, I'm going to go keep taking listings, see what you can do. And it was really cool. So that third year when we did 135 deals, 35 or 36 of them were from him doing buyer deals. 100 of them were from me doing listing deals, and then I had 2 admin. I had my EA, and then I had also hired a transaction manager that year.
So let's fast forward clear to now 2015, because we've got about 15, maybe 12 to 15 minutes left.
Cool.
So where are you guys at looking at 2015? How has your team changed and evolved? How has your mindset evolved? And where are you guys at as production this year?
Great. So this year we are in 4 cities here in Texas. We have agents in Austin, Houston, San Antonio, and Dallas. We have expanded through Keller Williams ESO expansion systems, and we're loving it, man. I have an expansion director that runs our organization, all the agents and ISAs, and then I have a head of operations that runs all the admin. So we will do about $3 million in GCI this year. About 75% of that comes from our central location here in Austin, and then about 25% comes from our San Antonio, Dallas, Houston that we've expanded into this year. So that's pretty exciting stuff for us. We did about $2 million in GCI last year, so it's been a big growth year for us.
Awesome.
What's on the horizon for us, and kind of where our mind is set now is on expanding all across the country. So in order to do that, we have to build up leaders from within. We hire everybody at the bottom, and we bring them up from within. And so what we've done is we've decided to stop spending money on all these other lead generation sources like direct mail and internet advertising and all that. We've decided to just focus strictly on prospecting, because if we're going to pay for a lead, we might as well pay a person to generate the lead. That way, when we're spending that money on the person, we can also be spending time developing them. And if we have enough people that develop up into leaders, the organization is going to continue to grow and flourish. So we're spending about 90% of our lead gen budget on people. And so what they do is we call those junior agents. And what that means in our organization is we've actually turned the ISA role in our organization into a junior agent role. And what that means is we're hiring people straight out of college, or people who just got their real estate license, just took the test, or people that have been in the business for maybe less than 6 months. And what we're doing is we're giving them an opportunity to come join our organization. Even though they don't have the experience level, they're not ready to go fully in the business as an agent. We're saying, look, come on board. We're going to give you 6 months of paid training. What you're going to do is you're going to be responsible for generating 5 nurtures a day by cold calling, just like I did when I first got in the business. And you're going to get 5 nurtures a day, and we're going to pay you for every single one. So you're going to get paid to do it. You're going to get $100 a month, and you're going to do this for 6 months. So you're going to get 600 qualified seller nurtures into the pipeline before you're allowed to become an agent on the team. But that's basically your ticket to become an agent on the team. However, during that time, we're going to be training you and mentoring you so that you're fully ready to go up here and right here in that 6 months. And so so we're building our bench. So Matt, our expansion director, goes to the bottom, recruits all of the junior agents who report to the local city team leaders. So we have a team leader in Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio who report to Matt, and Matt empowers them to help manage and lead their teams. And he also goes and recruits the bottom level so that they can rise to the top. And it's been growing our organization.
So you're leaders training leaders, basically, like John Maxwell teaches, basically. Yeah. Awesome. So what is the salary or the pay that these guys get for those 6 months?
They're making anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 a month. We pay them $50 per open house. We require them to do a minimum of 2 open houses a month for 6 months. So they're getting paid a couple of different ways, but we're paying them $20 to $25 per nurture that they put in the pipeline. We've basically identified different ways to pay them throughout their training process, and everything that we pay them for contributes serious value into the pipeline for the agents that are there today.
So basically, they're getting paid on results, not just, hey, here's $2,500.
Yeah, they're 1099 and they're paid per result.
Okay, awesome. Yep. I like that. So, and we got maybe eight or so minutes left. Let's shift gears. Before I do that, let's ask, so what's your goal for 2016 to grow? And then let's move to Phone Animal.
Yeah, okay. So our goal for 2016 is $5.5 million in GCI. And the way that we're going to be able to accomplish that is through our expansion teams. Through our Austin office, we'll have growth, but it's not going to have the growth that those expansion teams are going to have. Those teams are starting to take off. In fact, last month, our Dallas team actually beat our Austin team in production for the very first time, and it was pretty cool to see. They took 17 listings. They were just knocking it out of the park. And so what we've realized is now that those cities are gaining traction, we should be able to start to pick up really significantly. So 5.5 million in GCI, and I believe it is a total goal of 900 sales statewide. And so the number one way we're getting there is that we pulled Matt, who's our top individual, our top leader, and our top performer here at the company. We've pulled him out of production completely and put him in that expansion director role. So all day, every day, all Matt does is meet with new talent. So for anybody, by the way, that's thinking about an opportunity in the real estate business, they should reach out to us, because all Matt does all day, every day has phone calls and face-to-face screen interviews with these people. And he's looking for the next leaders in our organization. So we've got the top guy hiring the bottom level, and it's working out really, really well.
Awesome. So you've had some massive growth. Here's a question I'd like to ask you. So what car were you driving in 2009, and what car are you driving in 2015 and 16?
That's a great question. I'm actually really glad you asked that question. So I was an idiot in 2009, and I bought a brand new Chevy Tahoe. I totaled my truck. I had a truck that was paid for, and I totaled it when I hit a deer driving on the highway. And I went out and I took the money and used it as a down payment to buy a car that I couldn't afford. And so every month for about 6 months, I was just barely made my $600 monthly payments. And so anyway, I paid the car off about 1.5 years ago, and I still drive it. I'm going to drive it till the freaking wheels fall off.
Awesome, man. I was looking on my Facebook, just popped up a memory from 3 years ago, and that's what I did. I did 52 sides that year, driving a 2001 Chevrolet Cavalier. And it seems like all the new ages, man, they got to go buy a brand new, Mercedes, a new Tahoe, right, or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, it's the silliest thing. It's the silliest thing. And just to kind of prove a point to myself, man, I'd like to be driving that car 5 years from now if I can. It was just the wrong thing to do to go buy it, and I still feel stupid for it. So keep driving it as long as I can.
I love that attitude, because I take it that you come from a money blueprint of making smarter financial decisions, more of a saver, an investor, and growth. Yeah. And a lot of people are spenders. They'll spend everything they got and then some before they even got it. So I love that attitude, to see that with your growth. So let's kind of switch gears now. I have one more question, then we'll switch gears. So what does your day look like now versus 2009? Because obviously your schedule and your role has changed dramatically.
Every day is a little bit different for me. So basically Fridays, I take the entire day on Fridays and typically just think about how I can help my people. So think about new ideas for the future. I've been out of production for about 2 years now. So my days have evolved. But today, Fridays are the day where I just set back and think about what we need to do to move the ball forward, how we can do it, kind of get creative and focus on business planning. Because Mondays, all I do all day is meet with my key people. So I have seven people between 3 businesses. I own a title company, a lead generation company, and my real estate team. So I have 7 people between those 3 businesses that I meet with on Mondays. And that's all I do on Mondays is spend time with them. And I basically take the entire day Friday to make sure that I'm fully prepared to be able to help them as best as possible on Mondays.
Awesome. What about Tuesday to Thursday?
Tuesdays and Thursdays, all I do all day is recruit. So even though I'm not looking for any specific positions to report to me, we try and start everybody at the bottom, and I've got my key people right now that report to me. What keeps the engine moving, what keeps everything flowing, is having amazingly talented and ambitious people at the bottom, just pushing. So my job on Tuesdays and Thursdays is working my spheres of influence, my allied resources, all my connections, looking for new talent. And when I find new talent, I screen them. And then I've trained my 7 guys on the recruit select process that we teach in Keller Williams. So I'm handing them off when I find really talented people. I'm handing it off to my 7 people. And then Wednesdays, Wednesdays are filled with, webinars like this and different types of meetings and different types of, just kind of handling the 80%.
Awesome. So moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about Phone Animal. And one of the questions I have, because you said you wiped out direct mail, you wiped out internet leads, you wiped out all that. And so when you say cold calling, they're calling FSBOs, expireds. I imagine you have them calling their sphere of influence, because it'd be crazy not to. And are they calling cold calls like circle prospecting? Is that where everything's being generated from?
Yeah. So, I mean, we still call expires and FSBOs, but, you know, by about 8:20 in the morning, we've kind of gone through them all, right? So we've got to spend the entire day pretty much circle prospecting. We'll call investors, and we've got some other short lists, but the majority is circle prospecting. So my phone animal basically is my ISA team that I literally took my ISA team in the room right next to me, and I realized that for us to grow it and hit our goals that we have for expansion, if that's where we're going to go all in on prospecting, and we've got these massive goals to go across Texas and then eventually to go across the United States, we're going to have an entire call center with we're going to have full-time recruiters, first of all, because nobody's going to stay in a cold calling position for years and years and years. So we're going to be constantly recruiting. We're going to be constantly training and retraining and coaching and managing. And I've got all these extra positions that aren't really fitting inside of the P&L that I have for a real estate team. And so I decided, I said, you know, let's open this up. It's working well for us. Let's open this up for other people, and let's just grow it. And we can take that additional revenue that comes in to pay for these extra positions that don't really fit with the real estate team. So we went and got a space, and we opened up this call center. And so all the callers in the call center, we're just calling for my own team. So Phone Animal started with my ISA staff basically turned into the management, coaching, and training staff for Phone Animal. And we went and hired a bunch of phone animals who just called for my team only. And then, you know, we did a couple webinars and invited other agents to join in. And so today we've got a bunch of agents all across the country that have hired us to call on their behalf. And so Phone Animal now calls not only on behalf of my team, in addition to what our junior agents do, but also is a resource for real estate agents and real estat teams.
So how does that look? So let's say an agent calls in and says, "Hey Tim, we want phone animals to help us prospect here." And what does that look like?
So the first thing we do is we'll do a little needs analysis, because what I found is a lot of people are looking for the next shiny object, and including myself, by the way. We always get distracted by the next shiny object. So we do a needs analysis to make sure that this is going to be a good fit for the person, because it's a lot of money to hire a person in general. And it's a big investment. We want to make sure that the right people are investing. So if you're a brand new agent in the business, what I always say is, when you start out, there's two resources you have. One is time and one is money. And when you're a brand new agent in the business, you have a lot of time and not that much money. So you should be making the calls yourself. You should not be paying somebody else to do it. And as you go in the business, you get when you're doing all the work yourself, you get listings. It's taking up your time, you're making money, so it starts to even out, and all of a sudden you're even. And that's when you start looking for leverage. Eventually you get to the point where you have a team and you have no extra time on your hands. You have a lot of money because you're closing deals like crazy. And that's when you seriously go invest in things like Phone Animals. So what we're looking to do is basically take the new agents and say, now's not the time. And then we look at teams that grew up in prospecting. If they have a DNA in prospecting, that's what they did day in and day out. My recommendation is, go through Recruit Select. Let us, we should teach you, and I say we as Keller Williams, I'm a Recruit Select instructor now. Let us teach you how to go and build leverage in your own business and in your own life. If you've already lived prospecting, your team is already a prospecting culture, then you could build the ISA division in your own office and have the control to build it any which way you want. And then there's a lot of teams that they're just not in the place to have any bandwidth to do that. So that's the first sign that it's a good opportunity to outsource to Phone Animal. We don't have any long-term contracts, so they can work with us while they get all their other things in order. And then when they're ready to eventually go hire and find the right ISA, then they can still go do it on their own. And we have a MAPS training course, training program. It's MAPS ISA coaching. So we say, we'll train your ISAs, we'll coach your ISAs. Phone Animal's not the right thing for you, but if it is, hire Phone Animal. The people that we've found have utilized Phone Animal at the highest levels are the teams that have been around a while and done a really good job through repeat and referral business. So prospecting is totally foreign to them, and yet it's a lead source that they're totally missing out on. And so we want to help them incorporate that through the culture we've already built, so that they don't have to go change their entire business model.
Awesome. I love that. So I just joined with Keller Williams in May of this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to Recruit Select in January 14th. I can't remember who's doing the teaching, but
where? What city?
It's actually in Salt Lake City, so they're going to be bringing it to Salt Lake January 14th. So
well, I'm happy for you, man. That class, you investing in that class will change your life. If you truly adopt the principles from that class and truly follow it, it'll change your life.
Yeah. Well, I hit this last year, I was doing 65, 75 deals a year with me and an assistant. And it's just like, I could work harder. I could work more, right? It's like you were talking earlier on. And it's like, okay, I have a 3.5-year-old daughter. I've got a 7-month-old daughter. It's like, I don't want to work harder and work more. I want to work less and earn more. And so that's where I've leveraged big time the last probably 14 months with social media, as far as other businesses. And then now getting the idea of, okay, I actually can grow my real estate sales business more than just my production. So
Gary Keller, I heard Gary Keller say a few years back, when you've done all that you can do and you're hitting a ceiling, you're just missing a relationship. And the point of Recruit Select is to go find that relationship, to go identify what it looks like and what it doesn't look like, and then to go figure out how to go find it. And when you can master that, your whole world will change.
Awesome, man. Hey, I'm looking at the clock and it's actually time up. I want to say thank you so much for being on today. You've been a rock star. How can people reach out to you or learn more about what you got going on or get in contact?
Absolutely. So a couple of things. I mean, if you're interested in doing the coaching, you go to the MAPS website, MAPS ISA Coaching. Check us out. Just submit something on there. Phoneanimal.com if you're interested in checking more about that out. And if you just want to reach out direct, go to our website and shoot us an inquiry. We've got a place where you can interview live on the website for a career here, or you can just reach out if you want to chat with us or ask us questions. We'd be happy to help.
Awesome. Well, hey, have a great day. Have a great meeting with Gary, and I look forward to getting to know you some more. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks. Talk to you later, man.